How many people do you think were killed in LA County in 2014? Does anyone want to?
14,000?
How much?
14,000?
Okay, 14,000.
200.
Okay, 200. I heard 3,000 somewhere. Okay, cool. So let's go through some of the numbers. In 2000, 1,073 people were killed in LA County.
Yeah, homicide.
By another person.
Yes, so we define homicide as the killing of one person by the hand of another. In 2005, it was 1,100, and you can kind of see on this map right here like the concentration of dots too. In 2010, it was 692, and in I didn't mean to do that, but that's okay. In 2015, it's 572, which is half of what that number was in 2000. So before the homicide report, the LA Times basically covered only about 10% of homicides in LA County each year. These cases were basically, the newsworthy homicides were cases where like, in 2007, there was a 23-year-old baby who was shot and killed in MacArthur Park because a gang member was aiming at a street vendor and ended up hitting the child. So that's a case that got a lot of media attention. But obviously, those 500 people, they're not all killed like that, right? They're of all ages, genders, etc. So in 2007, a veteran crime reporter named Joe Leobi decided to start a iPad blog. It was a really simple blog. It was basically just like a blog roll, and she wanted to document all of the victims of homicide in LA County for 1 year. So you can kind of see, like, I actually don't know what. I guess this is like this is before my time. So this is an early version of the map, which is pretty cool. But covering every homicide in LA County is super difficult, right? I mean, you have, even in 2014, you had like more than, or like 600 people killed. Back in 2000, I mean, imagine covering 1,000 homicides. So we actually, after Jill did it, she did it for like about a year, and then another reporter took it over, and he did it for maybe about another year. But basically, the homicide report went through all these different changes. I think it was, in 2008, the homicide report went on a hiatus, and then it came back in 2010 as a searchable database with a map, etc. But it actually didn't have like a full-time human touch to kind of guide it along. I guess that's what we're doing. So I guess that comes in. I come into play. So this is actually an old version of the map as well. This is before we redesigned the website. It has like a list of victims, the date that they were killed, the age, and then kind of the concentration of homicide. You know, the darker red means that there's more. So the way that we put this together is we get a spreadsheet from the coroner's office. It looks like this. I remember when I first got a spreadsheet in 2013, I was kind of amazed because I was just like, holy crap, I just got this spreadsheet of names and like people, and these are like all lives that were taken violently. Like, it's really something to kind of, to get these lists, because each person is a life, you know, and each person represents, family members who miss them and other people who are impacted by these tragic acts. So we get this spreadsheet, and we clean it up, and we upload it into our custom Django database, and it makes something called a robopost. We rely on the algorithm. So this is kind of what the database or the algorithm spits out. And then I kind of go in and I speak with law enforcement. I go to funerals, I go to vigils, and I kind of fill this out a little bit. So you'll see like the difference here. You know, you have one sentence versus a little bit of context here. You even got a quote from the detective, which is super rare. They're notoriously awful at giving good quotes. So what patterns have emerged through this journey of covering homicide in LA County? Although the homicide rate has declined substantially over the last decades, there are pockets of violence in LA. That is supposed to be on the line, but that's cool. So this is an example of a pocket of violence in LA County. Back in early 2014, I worked with a database. The guy who built this database, his name is Ken Schwenke. He is not with us anymore. In LA, still alive.
Despite our best efforts.
Despite our very best efforts. So one of my large questions when I started kind of writing this blog was, okay, what's the deadliest area? You know, where is your chances of being killed the highest? So we decided to answer that very simple question. And so Ken analyzed, I believe it was 7 years of coroner's data, and he found this kind of tiny slice of neighborhood in unincorporated LA County called Westmont. I had never heard of Westmont, right? When you think of a violent neighborhood in LA County, you think of Compton, you think of like South Central, you think of all these other places. You don't think, oh, Westmont. So Ken, tells me one day, he's like, it's Westmont. And I'm like, I don't know what that, cool, whatever. So we had to actually go out there and make sure that this data, we had to verify the data. So I drove down there and got out of my car and started talking to people, and I was just kind of amazed at what I was finding. This is a neighborhood where there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of shops. Well, I guess you could call a liquor store a shop, but there's a lot of liquor stores, there's a lot of churches, there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of apartment complexes, and no matter where you go, you can just walk up and down the streets and talk to people, and someone has been impacted by violence. Everyone has been impacted by violence. You can kind of just, I think there's a line in the story, and it says, finding a victim of violence is just as simple as walking the streets and asking. So that's kind of one of the projects that we did. This is where Westmont is. This is the 110 freeway right here. On this side is Inglewood, and then down here this is the Imperial Highway. You guys ever been down here? Cool. I like that. And then there was a term in the story, I don't like to use it, but I will. A sheriff's detective, when he was talking about this area, he called it Death Alley. And he said, this is kind of how we refer to it. And I thought, okay. And I put it in the story, and it just really stuck. Like, even today, people call it that. But this is a big slice of South Vermont Avenue where 61 people have been killed. This is like a 2-mile stretch since 2007, and the data went from 2007 to 2013. So this is the street that I kind of walked up and down, but the story was about all of this stuff right here. So that's kind of background. And so on this journey of documenting violence, we're learning more and more each day about kind of who gets killed in LA County. And what sadly remains constant is that Black people are disproportionately victims of homicide. If you look at the database since 2000, it's 34% of victims, even though they only make up about 9% of the population in LA County, which is a huge disparity. So knowing that disparity, I wrote this story of 3 friends in the Inglewood, South LA area who kind of had this goal and this dream to make it to 21. And there's a kind of memory that this man's still friends. He's the only one that's still alive. And he shared a memory with me when he was in Sunday school when he was younger. The teacher asked the class a question, and he said, "How many of you think you won't live past 21?" And the majority of the kids raised their hands. So that's kind of an example of the everyday violence that is normalized in some neighborhoods. It continues to be normalized in some neighborhoods, even though the homicide rate is at historic lows. So we are keeping a public vigil, and in 8 years we've documented 6,400 killings and added another 8,000 dating back to 2000. About 2 years ago, we got additional coroner's data. The database only went back to 2007, and so we filled it out and put the information in from 2000 to 2007 to make a more complete picture. So now we have these 14,000 homicides in our database. So what about impact? How does this impact the community? In my opinion, our community is super, super engaged. In the 8 years that the blog has existed, we've had more than 39,000 comments. Kind of what the comments look like on the back end. We kind of approve them or block them. And each comment is approved by a real live person, usually me. It's super fun. So here's an example of a homicide in our database. This is actually a pretty old one, in fact, in 2007. A 17-year-old kid who was shot. We have a picture of him right here. We've got the address and a lot of the other information like gender, race, ethnicity, etc. And I wanted to show you guys a comment from this just left the other day. So this is a homicide from 2007, and on November 19th of 2015, we get this comment. Can you guys read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool. So we get these really poignant comments from people that really demonstrate that this is a pain that never goes away for many people. This is a constant in their lives. They think about this every single day. Here's another comment. I just thought this one was interesting. I've been doing the blog for almost 3 years now, and this was one of the most unique comments that I have gotten. She saw someone transparent walk through the red wall on Gale across the street in Fresno. And I just thought, wow, that's really interesting. And it's even more interesting that someone thinks, I'm going to go onto this database and I'm going to write this comment. That's so cool that we have people who are engaging with us on this level. So speaking of engagement, people reach out to us as well. We don't just reach out to them. That's kind of like your typical journalist is always reaching out. But this job is really it goes both ways. So just about every single day we get an email from one person, multiple people asking us about either the status of a case, if we can tell them more about a case, if we can find an old case for them. We often look in our archives and we'll even find homicides going back to the 1930s. And that's the LA Times archives, obviously. So on that note, we actually had someone reach out to us, which I started thinking about this man named Clarence Dawson. So who's Clarence Dawson? This is how I was introduced to Clarence Dawson. It was an email from his son. And if you can't read it, it says, good afternoon. This is 4:27 p.m. in September, on a warm September day. Do you know if there's any more info on this? This would be my father that has been missing since 1999. Thanks, Jason Dawson. So I don't know, the weight of that email to me is pretty crazy. I mean, is this my father? He could have been killed. He might have died violently. So I responded to Jason, and I actually happened to know the detective who investigated his death. So I was able to call him up really quickly and say, hey, I got this email, and I just wanted to know what happened. And he told me that Clarence Dawson had gotten into a fight with his roommate in a second-story apartment on Skid Row, and It was actually a fight over the apartment being clean, and the roommate really wanted it clean, and Clarence Dawson didn't want to clean it, and so they got into this argument, and it ended in a stabbing. And it ended up being a justifiable homicide. The roommate stabbed Clarence in self-defense. But at the time, this was the information I had from the coroner, the information that comes in that little spreadsheet. So it's super bare bones. It has no life to it. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to go to that apartment on Skid Row, and I'm going to talk to people about Clarence Dawson. So parked my car down there once again, and ended up going up this door, up a very dark stairwell. And this is one of those, it's kind of like a halfway house type living situation. There was like a receptionist and said, hey, you know who Clarence Dawson is? I'm looking to find out more information about his life. He's like, oh yeah, he lived here. Yeah, you know, there was a stabbing. And I was like, oh, okay. And I asked him if I could see a typical apartment. You know, can I look in, you know, you don't have to show me the specific apartment where it happened, even though that would be awesome. Awesome in like a reporter way. So he showed me an apartment, not the specific one, just so I can get an idea of, you know, where did this violent crime occur and what space did it happen. And then he told me, you know, I didn't know him very well, but, you know, you should go down to the Happy Kitchen and find him. And I was like, or find people who know him. And I was like, okay, I don't know what the Happy Kitchen is, but I will find it. And so I started Googling, and I found that there was a food kitchen called the Hippie Kitchen in near Skid Row. And this is just like a picture of their like outside courtyard, obviously during some sort of holiday event. But I went there, started talking to people, and they told me that Corky Dawson, as he liked to be called, liked to hang out with the veterans at the kitchen. He liked to hang out at a table outside. He walked with a cane. And he liked to get to the kitchen early before they opened so that he could receive the bread deliveries and actually help the volunteers, like figure out where they wanted to park and stuff like that. So he was he was super involved there. So I ended up writing an article about all of this information that I found, and kind of synthesized what I spoke with Jason for 45 minutes, an hour, and asked him, when was the last time you saw your dad? Why is this important to you? The last memory that Jason had of his father was his father showing up to his birthday party, Halloween party, and giving him a Mickey Mouse watch that had a broken wristband. So that was the last memory for him. And just, I guess imagine that. That's crazy. So I sent Jason the link after the article was published, and this is his email response. Thanks so much. I found the Hippie Kitchen's website. There's one picture of him. I just started looking. This means a lot. And for a journalist, this is really like why we do what we do, right? Like, we're here to serve the public. We're here to get information out to people. And to me, this is like, this isn't a huge investigative story. This is one man's life. But I can for sure say that I played a part in it in some way, and that part was positive. And so as journalists, we usually hear from people who like to tell us how awful we are and what a bad job we're doing and how wrong we are, basically. So I just kind of pulled this comment from the story, and I just think it's really cool, and it's really, people ask me a lot, how do you cover such a heavy subject? How do you cover something that's so emotionally draining? And for me, like, this is why I cover stuff that's emotionally draining, because this is the product, and this is better than any, to me, any other journalism I've ever done. So then, Jason, as a result of our story, Jason had found out that his father was killed. He told me that one of the worst parts about this experience was calling the LA County coroner And he said, well, where's my dad? And they said, he's still here. And those words for him were really tough because he realized that his dad was just like still at the coroner's office. Like his body had gone unclaimed. And then there's more on that, but we do an entire database on the unclaimed at the coroner's office, which is awesome. You guys should totally check it out. But so Jason was able to retrieve his father's ashes, and he took them to Montana where he lived, and he spread them in a grassy area behind himself. So that is the happy ending to that story. So, yeah. And so if you guys want to check out more about the Homicide Report, it's at homicide.latimes.com. This is my Twitter handle. It's just my name. And then Nicole.Santa Cruz at latimes.com. So reach out if you guys have any questions. Thank you.